What's going on, and welcome back to FUD TV. I'm your host, Elio Trades, and today we're going to talk some crypto. I know it's been a while, so forgive me as I get the rust off, but we have a lot of news to cover. So much has happened since I've been away. Yes, it's been over a week. I appreciate you guys cutting me slack. As you've seen on the recent videos, we have a big product that we're working on right now. Huge thank you to the entire community that has been supporting this project. There have been a lot of you, and a big shout out to my buddy Crypto Zombie for supporting it and giving me a shout out as well. I appreciate all of you guys from the bottom of my heart. But now let's get on to the headlines, because there are so many pieces of news coming out. And of course, bigger than any of those pieces of news is the fact that Bitcoin is reaching 2019 all-time highs each and every week now. That's a big deal. If you really look back at the charts throughout 2019, it's just been bullish. Now, does that mean that we can't go lower? Of course not. But does it mean that we're feeling like this whole market is building strength once again? Does it feel like once again it's time to start looking at your Bitcoin stash and saying, how much Bitcoin can I really get my hands on? Because this thing very well might be going to the moon. For everyone who was commenting, no, this is not a MAGA hat. There's no political statement being made here. This is a FUD TV hat, guys. And yes, my logo is red, so I picked a red hat. Maybe red hats are now claimed by the MAGA movement. I don't know, but this is just my own hat. So yeah, I need a haircut, as you guys can see. It's getting a little sloppy up there. Let's just hop right into the markets right now. We didn't do the markets at all during the bear market because it was just no fun. Honestly, who wants to look at a bearish market? I'm going to start here, and we're going to start, making a habit here of doing the Bitcoin comparative, because again, a lot of what I try to do is stack my Bitcoin. If I have an alt run on me that makes a huge run up on me, I'll like to sell quite a bit of it or a portion of it and get my Bitcoin back. I do believe in all these alts, as you've seen from my portfolio. I have a lot of alts. Over half my portfolio, but I do believe that, if we're right about this whole crypto movement, and specifically this Bitcoin movement, that Bitcoin could be worth a whole lot of money. We're actually going to be looking at a price prediction a little bit later in this episode where Bitcoin could exceed $1 million, and there's even price predictions where it could exceed $10 million. Me personally, I don't believe that if it gets to 500,000 or 1 million, that it would stop there. Why would it stop? That doesn't make sense. Into the charts we go. We have Bitcoin sitting at a cool 0%. If we go to the US dollar value, we can see that Bitcoin is down ever so slightly, but you can just see it's showing such resilience here. If you want to see some real heavy duty TA, check out Crown. He's got some amazing predictions. He's saying, essentially, not to paraphrase you, Mr. Eric Crown, but I think he's saying that essentially we could either dive back down to about the 5,000 range or go up to about the 6,200 range. My money right now is on the 6,200 range. Though, as we know in crypto, anything could happen. We do know that Ethereum is showing signs of life here with a 7% gain. That's, of course, because they just tweeted out a big development roadmap where they said proof of stake might be in by this year, which is, of course, huge. Having a 2-year horizon on implementing proof of stake was, I think, disappointing to a lot of people. We see a lot of coins making little runs here. Tron with a 3.8% run. We see, Monero with a little run. Let's just see our biggest gainers and losers against Bitcoin. And really, it's Ethereum is up here in the top 3, which is something we all love to see. We switch over to our Bitcoin comparative, I really stopped doing, deep dives on coins, because every time I do a dive on a coin, everyone goes, I just bought some. And, maybe that wasn't really what I wanted to do. I just wanted to make you aware. But I think as the bear market has ended, I'm going to feel a little bit more comfortable going and diving into these projects, because for me, I was just worried that essentially you guys would lose money. I don't want you to lose money. So I'm covering, the things that I believe are these top level projects, which at the very least, maybe they won't make you as much money as the other like little, page 3 small altcoins, but I hope they don't lose you money. That's really what my hope is. I don't want everyone, risking the farm on some sexy exotic altcoin. But as you can see here, not a huge amount of movement in the crypto markets, but at least we're staying positive. We're holding the gains that we had. Let's jump into some news, because there actually is some exciting stuff going on. In an absolutely monstrous piece of news, we have word from our buddies over at Bloomberg, shout out Mike, that Fidelity will start institutional Bitcoin trading within weeks. Now, if you don't know much about Fidelity, it's a $7 trillion behemoth in the Wall Street world here. They are very much so in bed with these institutional investors that push around hundreds of millions, billions, even trillions of dollars in investment capital. And having them on board means that we really could have that, quote, institutional herd coming into Bitcoin. Wall Street, smart money, don't like to bet on a losing horse. As soon as they see that chart starting to go up and to the right, I believe that we'll start to see a lot more institutional money. The whole adage is that institutional money really leads. They're the smart money that gets ahead of it. But, the truth truth is they're the ones who bought the top and they're the ones who sold the bottom. And I believe that that'll continue to happen. So as soon as we get some upward price trajectory, I think that we could start seeing some really amazing stuff coming in the form of backed, clients of backed, clients of Fidelity, custodial services that have been developed. And we're going to get to those custodial services in just a minute. If you're in this crypto space, FUD around Bitfinex is nothing new. Bitfinex had this anonymous Medium account called Bitfinex that's been publishing sort of expose articles on them for over 2 years now, and they've circulated. A lot of YouTubers have sort of covered that research. Anyway, Bitfinex has been no stranger to scandal, and so them being attacked by the Attorney General is very interesting. Though, if you've been following the story closely, I don't believe that this is going to take them down, but it's just kind of interesting to see this FUD that just keeps sticking to the Bitfinex crew, the whole Tether crew, the EOS related crew. It's just very interesting. We'll have to see how this all plays out and see if these people are going to actually continue to just, I guess, evade, being prosecuted for their, sloppy dealings. It seems as though all the FUD in the world can't take these companies down, though. So I've never used Bitfinex. I don't plan to, but it's pretty interesting to see them starting to get, more and more into the dark corner of crypto and getting excluded from the legitimate parts of this industry. It's probably a good thing. Let me know if you're a user of Bitfinex and what you think about all this New York Attorney General prosecuting Bitfinex. It actually turns out throughout all of this that Tether has a lot more of their holdings than I think anybody thought. But that's kind of interesting. They certainly have more of your holdings in US dollar than your bank account does. And that's by a significant margin. So very interesting stuff. In bullish news, we have IOTA partnering up with Land Rover and Jaguar. What they're doing here is they're essentially rewarding people in crypto for reporting road conditions and vehicle performance. So they're essentially going to be sending IOTA tokens out to people for participating in these on-road sort of report programs. Very interesting stuff, especially as we get to the autonomous car future where maybe those reports and those different pieces of communication will be automated. This would be very interesting to see how central IOTA might be in these types of things. I also believe that it's very possible that these companies would create their own tokens in the future. Very hard to say whether IOTA would be the one that sort of sweeps that industry, but I know IOTA has been focusing a lot on this particular use case, and so it's interesting to see. Of course, IOTA has jumped almost 20% since that announcement. Are you an IOTA fan? Are you in the IOTA fam? Do you hold IOTA? I actually have 0 IOTA. I've never been so swayed by the project, but let me know what you guys think about it in the comment section below. So now we have yet another article about Facebook's cryptocurrency sounding terrible because it leaks their partners Visa and Mastercard. Now, I have a lot to say about this. One is that there seems to be a bit of naivete in the crypto community about the way blockchain is going to get adopted. There's going to be big players, especially the people most affected by cryptocurrency. Visa, Mastercard, payment processors are definitely going to get in on this game if it looks like it's going to put them out of business. So I guess this is a bad piece of news and we should all be annoyed by it. I don't plan to use Facebook's cryptocurrency. I don't plan, I think it's going to be a stable coin anyway. But the point is, don't be surprised by this, y'all. Don't be surprised by big players, payment processors, and other people of the like getting involved in this industry. It just makes sense. I mean, when you have a competitor, a young competitor in the tech world, you either acquire, you build or you acquire. And usually when something's going really well, you just acquire. And so, if they're looking to get in and get a taste of this crypto industry, partnering with Facebook on a crypto project is kind of a no-brainer. We'll see how this plays out, but I just would say don't be surprised by any of this news. The biggest banks, the biggest payment processors, all the people that we think are going to be put out of business by crypto are going to be on the take throughout this entire movement, in my humble opinion. Will it transform their industries for the better? Yes, we hope so. But will they be completely left out of the pie? I highly, highly doubt that. Let me know what you guys think about this whole Facebook partnering with Visa and MasterCard thing in the comment section below. We have Vitalik and Elon Musk exchanging a little bit on Twitter here. Here, Musk just tweeted Ethereum randomly on April 29th, and then he added JK. But then Musk essentially, goaded Buterin into saying, what should be developed on Ethereum. And Buterin lists a bunch of things, including, globally accessible financial system, including payments, store value insurance, disintermediated ETH-powered digital identity structure. He was talking about, credit systems. It's all good stuff, and it's all very interesting. And to me, it's stuff that blockchain is good at, and it's important that we should be aware. And I think as an investor, as a coin collector, if you will, you should be aware of what blockchain is great at. And I really don't like it when people try to put blockchain on everything and say, well, blockchain will be better than this and that, and this is going to be doing everything. I think it's very important that you understand the technology. What does blockchain do? What does it do better than our current systems? Where is it completely and wholly unnecessary? Where does it not add value? Where does switching to this new system actually add nothing? And so I think that that's something where I'm not going to dig completely into this, but I want you guys to, really internalize some of the things that Vitalik said, because this is his whole life. Vitalik is thinking about blockchain, thinking about where is it best suited, because there's been a lot of trash, if you will, put out there in the world about where blockchain can be used, what products it should be included in. And I think it's very important to understand that blockchain is not just a cure-all for every single use case of technology. It needs to be used in ways that benefit every product and don't take away from that product as well. We're in an era where it's all positives, no negatives. People don't want negatives. People won't tolerate negatives. So I think it's very important to understand that when you're looking at security, payments value, reliability, these types of things are very great for blockchain. Speed, scalability are tough for blockchain. So it's just important to understand where things should be used and where they shouldn't be used. And I think this was a great response by Vitalik. He also followed up with more development plans for Ethereum. Like I said, they're going to be moving to proof of stake, having their sort of version 0 code out by mid-year. And that's very important that we see that Ethereum can scale and get a little bit faster, because right now it's just simply not fast enough when these little shitcoin projects can just flood the network and really bring everything to a screeching halt. It's not good for the industry. It's not good for ETH. It's not good for anyone. So this is very interesting, and I appreciate Vitalik. I appreciate Elon Musk for engaging the community. And yeah, Ethereum, if they can scale and can become capable of accommodating all these different pieces of tech, or at least these very important use cases for blockchain, then yeah, maybe it'll maintain its chair as the number 2 cryptocurrency. If it can't do that, I believe that there are other platforms that are a little bit better designed to be a little bit faster and still have the reliability and security that blockchain requires. But again, we will see. I think the jury is very much out on Ethereum. I don't hold a lot of it, as I revealed. I might stock up more of it if I see a little bit more development from the team. But right now, I have a big fat question mark over the Ethereum coin. Let me know what you guys think about Ethereum in the comments section below. And of course, what would any crypto news episode be without a mention of Bakkt? So Bakkt, of course, is owned by the Intercontinental Exchange, the owner of the New York Stock Exchange. And they've essentially said that, what they're developing, they just acquired a custody firm, and that essentially what they're developing at its core is a custodial service for digital assets. And that's, if you were to break down their biggest vision, it's that. And I believe that that's very important. Essentially, these big investors don't know how to touch this plutonium, this foreign substance that is just so powerful, but they just don't know how to mess with it. They don't know how to actually pick it up and hold it themselves. And so the whole point here is that they shouldn't have to. Your grandma and grandpa shouldn't really have to figure out all this private key stuff, these, thumb drives and ledgers and all these different sort of wallets. And it's just a lot of stuff that people never had to deal with before. And the question is, will they ever accommodate and will they ever move over to this movement? I think the answer is no. And so having custodial services is not just important for the big investors, but for the little investors and the little holders as well. Solving this is solving one of the big missing puzzle pieces to actually getting the world and the big financial powers that be on board. A lot of people say, well, why do we need the financial powers that be? This is a retail movement. And yeah, it has been a retail movement, but can we get to a $1 million Bitcoin or a $10 million Bitcoin without the world's financial might behind it? I don't know. Question that I don't have the answer to, but I don't think so. I think that we'll need a little help from the institutional horde, but I do think that having this custodial service set up will allow for people who easily push around hundreds of millions or billions of dollars to just throw some money into these assets. And I think that'll of course be good for the holders. Warren Buffett at it again with another metaphor for Bitcoin, calling it a seashell that just sits there. Again, love Warren Buffett. He's got some great investment advice. He certainly understands how to trade markets, but in the end, he's not going to be a big fan of this stuff. He's shown himself to be very anti-Bitcoin, and either he just doesn't get it or never will, or he's actively trying to FUD against Bitcoin because, of course, if Bitcoin becomes hugely popular, what's going to happen to his 90 billion US dollars? I just don't think it benefits someone who's that wealthy in the current system. So personally, I don't think his metaphors are that important. But hey, maybe Warren Buffett will be right. Let me know what you guys think about Warren Buffett and his crypto predictions in the comment section below. And should we shut down Bitcoin? This is, of course, coming from the Nobel Prize economist Joseph Stiglitz. He thinks we should shut down Bitcoin because it allows for illicit money to travel. This argument just keeps coming up over and over again, when in reality, in order to buy Bitcoin, I need to put my license, my whole social security and everything, I need to send it over to Coinbase. So they have all this information on me. They know exactly where I'm sending my Bitcoin. Like, we are being tracked in Bitcoin much more than in US dollars with cash. I mean, US dollar is the way people launder money, not with Bitcoin. So this is very, very, to me, it's just, again, a red herring, a straw man argument, a bad argument. I'm sure I used the wrong logical fallacy there. But anyway, this is not a good argument. It keeps coming up over and over again. And this is just that same old age-old FUD that this is creating a sort of dark economy. And I think it's the opposite. I think it's creating a light economy, a trackable economy where everything has, essentially a source. Now, do people actually want to be tracked to that extent? I think the answer to that is no. But that's why people will be building privacy features into, the Bitcoin Lightning Network and beyond. In the end, I think that this is, again, just a catchy, stupid argument from someone who's overly academic. The reality is that people want privacy, and Bitcoin is no more a conductor of illicit money laundering than the US dollar. And just again, expressing a little frustration here over this IEO that's planned for Bitfinex, but they're trying to raise over $1 billion for the Leo token, which is supposed to be, allowing for holders to enjoy reduced crypto-to-crypto trading fees on Bitfinex and the company's decentralized exchange EOSFinex. But in the end, it's just like, why are you raising $1 billion for what? Especially under all of the negative attention that Bitfinex is experiencing, to be doing a $1 billion USDT worth of exchange tokens raise. It's raising it in Tether. It's just like, come on, guys, just stop with this nonsense. Stop the nonsense, please. End the nonsense. Anyway, I hope that I personally will not be participating. I don't think anyone I know will. I don't know who would be participating in this, but it seems shady beyond all belief. Let me know what you guys think. Is this just proof here that Bitfinex is this an exit scheme? Like, what is this? What is this? And here we have the Chapo CEO, Wens Cesar, publishing a bullish prediction for Bitcoin being worth over $1 million per coin. That's right, Bitcoin at $1 million. I personally believe that if Bitcoin succeeds, like he's saying, if it succeeds, there's a chance it could not succeed. But if it does, why wouldn't it go to $1 million? Why wouldn't it go above $1 million? Why wouldn't it go to $10 million? I'm not saying immediately. I'm not saying next year. I'm saying in a decade, in 15 years. Why not? It doesn't make sense that it wouldn't. So for me, it's just an interesting argument. Once we get to the point where Bitcoin hits that tipping point and people are using it as a supernatural currency, they're using it to buy homes, they're using it to do international money transfers, they're using it essentially for all of the wonderful disintermediated things that Bitcoin is great for. Why wouldn't it continue to grow in value as more and more people use it, as its utility and its network expands? Of course, there's a chance that it might not make it there. There's a lot of headwinds against Bitcoin's success. But if it does make it there, why, if it makes it to 100,000, why wouldn't it make it to 500,000? If it makes it to 500,000, why wouldn't it make it to 1 million? If it makes it to 1 million, why wouldn't it make it to 10 million over time? Sure, there might be crashes and booms and busts in the middle there. But to me, if it keeps growing, it keeps growing. And that's kind of the inertia, the momentum of it. It's a movement. It's going to keep growing if it continues to serve its purpose. If it doesn't serve its purpose and it doesn't succeed, then yeah, you might lose a lot of money. But again, I really agree. I like the way he phrased this. He's saying essentially, if it happens, it's going to happen. And if it doesn't happen, it's really not going to happen. And that's just sort of where we are at. That's just what it is here in crypto land. But that's why we love it. That's the thrill of being the part of something completely new, completely fresh, completely disruptive. And yes, there's a big risk. You should never be putting in all of your money into crypto. Understand that this is money that you should be comfortable seeing go away, because it very well might. But if you are so fortunate to own several Bitcoins by the time that it makes it to 100,000, 500,000, a million, it might change your financial future. And that's, I think, what brings a lot of people to this space and what's so exciting. And we should not lose sight of the grand potential of Bitcoin. Well, that's it for me. I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. I know it's been a long time coming. We have some very exciting content coming up. I'm going to be talking with Roger Ver about all the things going on with Bitcoin Cash this week, really trying to dig in here and get a different side of Roger than maybe you've seen on other channels, on other interviews. So I know if you're a Roger hater, if you're a Roger lover, let me know in the comment section below what you want me to talk with Roger Ver about, because we have that very exciting interview coming up on Wednesday. We're also going to be doing a lot more content. Things have stabilized over in my world, and I want to be getting out a lot more content as we really start to cultivate and fan the fires of what I think might be the very next and very biggest bull run in crypto history. If you're not already subscribed, hit that little sub button and click that bell notification. That way you're made aware whenever I put out new content. I'm ETH Trades, you're watching FUD TV, and I'll see you next time.